Garone Garage here, and we have another project coming your way. Star of the show, Grace. What are we working on today? She said water pump. Time to dig in. Alright, before we get started, I did a little research because I've never done this before, a water pump, but basically what it looks like from seeing, I have to take this anode out. Once the anode comes out, there's another bolt underneath here. There's two down here. I don't know if you can see them, there's two there. One here, two on the sides, and then this one bigger one here. The boat has to be in neutral to do this, so I'm going to make sure it's in neutral. So let's dive in. Let me just start taking stuff. Okay, so I got it. This bolt for the anode actually came out with a 12. I don't think it's the right size, but it worked. So I'm not going to ask questions. The bolt underneath there with the anode actually is a 14, and then the bolts underneath here is a 5/8. 5/8. Don't know why they did that, but that's kind of the way the cookie crumbles. So let's see what size these are. Yep, these are 5/8 as well. I had to be really careful and not touch this, which is the shifting mechanism right here. So that's in neutral right now. That stud, this stud right here, that caused all my issues. That was seized up in this hole, so I gotta clean everything out really nice. Probably wire wheel everything when I reassemble, but yeah, this was fucked. There's supposed to be a rubber gasket here. I have to look up in there, see if it's stuck in there. Anyway, I had to stick a pry bar, two pry bars actually on each side, between here and here, and just evenly wiggle it. And I did screw up the housing a little, but I kind of had to do that to get this off. So look at all the gunk in here though. Like, what the fuck? What is that, a caterpillar? I don't know, this is pretty bad. But anyway, this definitely had to get done. This had to be serviced. So now that it's off, I can actually do the water pump. So let me bring this inside and start tearing apart the water pump. I'll clean this off. Alright, so I skipped a little bit of this, but pretty much I cleaned up all of the surfaces, and then it's a gasket, metal gasket, and then another gasket, and then there's that pin that came out. I don't know if you can see it in there underneath. You line up that, you put that pin in. I put it in with a little grease so it stays, and then you just put the water pump in there and it should lock it in place. And then to do this part, I don't like putting them in first. What I'll do is I'll put it in, and then to get it the right orientation, you could just spin the water pump. So you turn the drive shaft clockwise, and it'll go in. And it should seat all the way. Yep. Yep. And then the last piece is this rubber thing. The continuation of the lower unit. So I had to put this on hold. I had my daughter's baptism this week, so we are going to jump in and work on this. We have everything installed. I did a little video on the water pump. It wasn't really in bad shape, the water pump, but definitely needed to be replaced. And then in the last video, I don't know if you recall, but I broke this trying to pry this apart. This here stud was seized in there. So with that, I went on eBay. I found the part number. I ended up finding one. So we have that set up. So I really want to try to get this lower unit back on. I cleaned the inside. The exhaust port looks good. This seal is a little cruddy, but I think it'll be fine for the exhaust. Maybe I'll clean it out a little bit more. There's some shit coming out still, but anyway, I will get this ready. I am going to attempt to install this myself. So the thing is, I took this off in neutral. When it's off in neutral, the prop obviously does nothing with the drive shaft because it's not engaged, which is probably fine. The only hard part for me is doing this myself. I have to hold the lower unit up in the to the midsection, and I have to make sure that the drive shaft spins and connects there with the teeth. So that's going to be the challenge today. Should pee really well. I think it'll run good once this is together. I just hope it shifts good and no issues with the shifting. So let me uncover. We can cut off this and get some tools. Let's cut this off. I had to put the boat in the backyard, so I wanted it to be covered just in case you know, a rodent or something of similar came out to play. There's actually water in there, so anyway, let's take this cover off. It's just real quick, we'll pull this off. That wasn't planned. Okay. And then we will take this cover off, and with that we will be able to now see the flywheel. Okay, so now if we have to, we can spin this clockwise to line up the teeth. Don't want to spin it counterclockwise because it'll move the fins in the lower unit. So here we are. These two got to go back in. This has to go back. So what I will do now is let me go check what size bolts these are. I'll do a bench test it first to make sure we're good, and then once we get that down, I clean that seal off. I will record me probably mounting this. So bear with me. This is probably gonna suck, but you know, I'll let you guys come for the ride. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we got her all rigged up. Basically, I kept the shift linkage here in neutral, so I took it off in neutral. I haven't touched the controls yet. All I did was put the lower unit in place up, and I took a ratchet strap just to support it up because I am doing this by myself. My brother's on his way, but if I can get it done before he gets here, great. So right now, I think where I am, it's not lining up with the drive shaft, so what I have to do is rotate the flywheel clockwise. So let me pull off this cowling. Get that off. Put this over here. Okay. Yeah, so basically I'll put you down and you will watch me attempt to do this. Good morning, y'all. I just finished the water pump, I guess you want to call it, but I also, you know, took apart the lower unit. So just wanted to go over a few things with you, pretty important things. I just wrote them down. So notes that I didn't know before taking on a job like this. Hopefully this helps someone else if you're in the same situation. There's a lot of cursing, a lot of things that went on in the video I didn't expect to happen. I thought, from watching videos on YouTube, I thought, just take off the 7 bolts, drop the lower unit, take off the 4 bolts for the water pump, replace the water pump, push it back up, and you're good to go. Not the case. It took me about a week. So here's what happened. It's a 71 or 2 Mercury 1150. So the first issue I ran into is I unbolted the whole lower unit, and the lower unit wouldn't come off at all. So I had to use the 2 nuts on the side of the lower unit to kind of push it down a little bit. So that worked, but I'll show you in the video. You'll see the lower unit started coming off at like an angle. So here's the mid section, started coming off like this. So this front part here was still all the way up. I didn't know what to do, so I went on a forum and started asking some questions. What's happening? They said the front stud was seized. So for the next 2 hours in the video, it cut out, I think, but in the next 2 hours in the video, you see me you taking pry bars, anything I can get my hands on to wedge in between there and force it down and apply heat. It ended up working out. Like 2 or 3 hours later, I finally got it dislodged and cleaned up and removed. The water pump part is so easy. I ended up taking off the water pump, put the new housing on. I got an OEM kit. That was straightforward. You'll see that also. The next part that I ran into that was an issue is not the water pump, but I broke this little shift. It's like a push rod holder. So it holds the shifter linkage and the push rod for the reverse lock. I broke that, so I had to wait about 4 days for that to come in the mail. I finally got that in the mail. I put that in, and then I went to go install, and nothing went my way. That's another piece where I started cursing. I needed my brother to come over. Basically what happened is there's an exhaust seal in there. There's a water tube. There's the shift linkage, and then the drive shaft. Those are the 4 pieces that have to line up and push together. The water tube was connecting, no problem. I didn't have to do anything with that. You can kind of see it when you look up there. You can see that it was connecting. The second piece, the drive shaft, that was pretty simple because you'd hold the lower unit up and you would see, you'd twist the flywheel. I had it in neutral, so if you don't have it in neutral, I'll go over that in a second, but basically I push up the lower unit, you twist the flywheel up here, and you'd feel the lower unit push up a little bit, so that I knew the drive shaft was lining up. The shifter, I don't think this was the issue, but I needed my brother to wiggle the shifter a little bit to get the splines to line up, and then eventually I used a ratchet strap to pull it up as he did that, and the force of the ratchet strap, I guess, made it line up. So after it was lined up, I can actually see the shift splines moving when he was wiggling the shifter, so I knew those were lined up. And I got it up a little bit higher, and I saw that he was actually shifting in forward and neutral before I even bolted it all the way up. So I knew the shifter was working. So now I know the drive shaft, the water tube, the shift linkage, the push rod, all of those were lined up perfectly. So that was not my problem. So I still couldn't get it to go up about an inch. On the top of the water pump, there's a little rubber seal that keeps exhaust gases out. We removed that because we thought that was holding it up from getting all the way installed. I doubt that was the issue, but when we took that off, we were able to use a ratchet strap and get it all the way in. And it took us about 2 hours to do that. So it was not a straightforward process. Definitely, YouTube did not really help me, I'm going to be honest, because everyone else that did this job seemed like they just installed it super easy. I got nervous forcing it up a little bit with the ratchet strap, but I knew that everything else was connected, so it made me a little less nervous because I knew that there was really nothing that could break because everything was lined up. I think what it was is this lower unit was super corroded. I think it was a mixture of that front stud, but I cleaned it up with a wire wheel and I cleaned out the hole itself. I think what it ended up being was there's the exhaust gasket. It was pretty old, but it still felt rubbery. It was a little corroded, had a little bit of sand in it, so I cleaned that off. But I think that is a tight squeeze, the exhaust gasket.
So when you push it up, if especially an older motor, you have to put a little force into it. And I confirm that it runs. I confirm that it shifts, goes into neutral, and it's peeing really well now, so I know that I fixed it. But I was a little nervous because people said that they broke a lot of things doing what I did. So anyway, we're fixed. I hope this helps someone else. A few other key points that I have here I just want to go over. Make sure you're using all OEM stuff, right? Water pump, OEM. You don't want to go anything else. I heard that they're nightmares. You want to make sure you torque each nut on the water pump housing. They call from anywhere from 20 inch-pounds to 40 inch-pounds. I did 40 inch-pounds on all of them. Seemed to be fine. They all have nylon lock on them, so you don't really have to worry about it. But and then let's talk about neutral and forward. So I feel like it doesn't matter what you do. The biggest thing here to know is you have to install with whatever way you went out. So you do neutral or forward, it's fine. But if you're reinstalling, you have to make sure that the lower unit and the actual shifter is in forward. The forward would make it a little bit easier for me, I think, because I would be able to, if I was alone, I had my brother, I would be able to spin the prop, which would in theory spin the drive shaft, which would line up the splines up top. And it would avoid me having to reach above the motor and do all that stuff. But it worked out the way I did it. I ended up just having two hands. I did it in neutral. I like neutral a little bit more because there's a little bit more play in the actual shifting splines. So we just put it back in neutral and it was fine. But there's all these people online that say you need to do it in forward, you do it in neutral. It doesn't really matter. You just have to make sure that it goes back in the way that you took it out. And you could tell, right, if the lower unit's off, if the shifting actual splines is positioned in neutral, forward, or reverse, you'll see it's locking the prop in different ways. You'll know if you're in neutral, forward, or reverse. So there's really not too much you can mess up there. To make it easier also, if you don't have two people, what you really could do is disconnect the shifting cable, and you can go up in there while you're holding up the lower unit to pull up and move the shifting mechanism on the left side of the motor. So that's really it. And I guess one other piece is that I wrote down here is because it's a 70s motor, I don't know what caused it to be really hard to push in the last half inch that I had, but it ended up, we kind of forced it in. And everything seems to be working good, but this is my first time doing a lower unit removal water pump, so all of it was a learning curve for me. It worked out. Everything's done. I'm going to take some more videos of us on the water with it, but I just hope this helps other people because I struggled, and I'm currently editing the video right now, but it's just one of those things where YouTube did not explain any of these things to me, so I hope this helps someone else. And reach out to me if you need anything. I'm here to learn myself and then hopefully help others. I'm in the Mercury enthusiast group chats. I try to respond to as many people as I can based on what I learned so far. So let me know. Hit me up. I hope this helps. I was looking at it because I saw a spark. Oh. Coming from here, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I heard tapping.
I heard tapping too.
This gear was stuck up.
I heard tapping too.
Probably from cranking and shit, probably heated up and stuff.
Probably. Alright, let me tell them. What are you doing?
No, hold on.
done?
All right, so we're here today. We are actually we listed this boat for sale. The reason why we listed it for sale is because I originally thought I wanted to keep it with the family, but I wasn't using it. We have another boat on a different lake, so there's no need for us to really need to keep this. So I listed it for sale for a day. I only listed it for $2,200, so it's kind of cheap, right? I got it for $100 and I put a good amount of money into the motor, so I'm just trying to make my money back at this point. But anyway, I have the people coming in about an hour. I haven't started it in about a week or two, so I just want to make sure the engine runs and it'll start for them. So let's do a quick cold start. Once it runs, I'll probably turn it right off. Just I don't want to start it and warm it up for them. I just want to make sure that it starts. That's all. So let's start it, and then I will give you an update after it sells, or if it sells. I'll be right back. Let's crank her over. See if she starts. Listen, this is a good running motor, okay? It's the whole boat is in fantastic shape. I mean, look at this fiberglass. I don't know if you could really tell from the video, but this thing is spotless. Even underneath, the whole hull, everything's spotless on it. So this goes to a good family. They'll really enjoy it. But that's it. So we'll see if it sells, and I'll report back. Peace.